Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Connect, and Building Solid Foundation.
So, welcome back to Fabulous Lifestyles Radio Talk Show. I am here with the fabulous Lynda Sunshine West, and we've been speaking about breaking through fears as being the foundation of a very successful publishing company. And so, we were talking about how, after living this life of facing a fear every day, even just halfway in, you were able to come to a realization what was behind all of this fear. And it was about like this whole self-judgment piece and how you were able to break through. And that, and then, you continue to put yourself out there and, and welcome feedback so that you can continue to be this most phenomenal person that you could be. And so I want to bridge like how all of this work put you in the place of transitioning into writing your first book.
Ah, gosh.
Yeah.
We're going backward in time, big time. That is very interesting because it was January 1st, 2015, when I started that journey of breaking through fears.
Right. Mm-hmm.
About January 15th, so 15 days in, breaking through these fears, I ended up meeting somebody who would end up becoming my mentor. I didn't know it at the time. I was attending a vision board seminar, and my life coach, she was like, let's go to this seminar. And then there were speakers that day. And one of the speakers, the last speaker, was the keynote speaker. His name is Greg Reed, which you know who Greg is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he invited us to this event called Secret Knock.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh, that's expensive. I'm not going to go to that. That's too much, And my life coach looked at me and she said, you need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, if she said I need to be there, I will spend the money and I will go. And I'm so glad I did, because that was a door that was opened that would never have been opened had I not said yes. And so it's so beautiful that, when like breaking through these fears show up all the time, but what do we do with them? What are we going to do with them? How are we going to actually take the motion to break through them? And then what's stopping us? What is actually like really stopping us from breaking through them? And so when I ended up going to Secret Knock, that was one of the moments that I was sitting in the audience. One of the speakers was Frank Shankwitz. He is the creator and founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And at the very end of his talk, he says, if I can be a hero, everyone can be a hero. Because he was always called a hero, for granting all those, hundreds of thousands of wishes worldwide. And I was in the audience and I heard that. If I can be a hero, everyone can be a hero. I said, am I a hero? Maybe I am to somebody. And it really just kind of got me thinking a little bit differently about myself. So that was kind of like the start of that. So anyway, after that event, Greg gave out his phone number to everybody. And he says, I always give out my phone number because nobody calls me. And I'm like, well, I'm going to call you. And so I did. And I said, can I come hang out with you guys at your office? And he said, yeah, of course, of course. So I went and I hung out. I was there for about 5 hours talking to them. And at the end, he goes, so what are you doing here? Like, why are you here? Right. I said, I'm not used to positive people. I just want to be surrounded by positive people. And that was it. That was all I wanted. And he said, well, it's cool. Like, you're breaking through a fear every day this year. That's awesome. We're doing the book called Footsteps of the Fearless. I mean, it's a perfect match for you. So he invited me to be in that collaboration book. And that was what started it all. And I sat there and I said, I'm not a writer. Like, I was scared. I'm not a writer. How can I share my story? He goes, that's okay. We have a ghostwriter. They'll write your part of the story for us. And I said, okay, I'm in. And that was the start. So, Lynette, what happened? is he ended up becoming my mentor. And at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
breaking through all those fears, he said, that's really cool that you broke through a fear every day this year, but what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's enough. I did it. I'm done, right? And he's like, no, you have to write a book about it. And so I did. I wrote a book called The Year of Fears. And,
Mm-hmm.
it shares, the lessons that I learned during that
Mm-hmm.
year. And
Mm-hmm.
then after that, I said, what's my next natural state of progression? Because I want to keep growing. I want to
Right.
keep growing. And I was
Exactly.
like, yeah, I was in a book. I wrote a book. I'm going to write my own collaboration book. So I reached out to my mentor. I reached out to the founder of the Make a Wish Foundation. I reached out to the founder of UGG Boots. I reached
Mm-hmm.
out to the inventor of the credit card magnetic strip, all people that I met at Secret Knock, by the
Mm-hmm.
way. And I said, I'm thinking of writing a book called Momentum. Will you join me? And
Mm-hmm.
every single one of them said, yeah, of
Yes.
course. Just tell me
Mm.
what you need from me.
Wow,
And
amazing.
that was the start. That was really the start. That's what you really moved everything into motion. Yeah, it's been an incredible, incredible journey.
Wow. Okay, so what is the fear that you had to overcome to start your publishing
Am I good
business?
enough? Am I good enough? Greg's doing it, he's doing book publishing, and how could I ever be as good as him? Right? How could I ever be good as Simon and Schuster? How, will I be judged? Will people think, oh, who does she think she is? So many
Mm,
different fears. But again, those fears, like if you really, really look at them deeply, it is the fear of judgment. So if I can get
mm,
over the fear of judgment, then I can push through and I can say, you know what? I don't need to compare myself to them. I am not Simon and
mhm,
Schuster. I am not
mhm,
Greg Reed. I
mhm,
am not this. I'm starting. They've been doing this for years. I am on day one.
mhm, mhm,
Eventually, people will be saying, oh, I'm not Action Takers Publishing. How can I do it? Because look at what they're doing. Eventually, it will be there. But I got to start the very first
exactly.
step. Yeah.
Exactly. And so you mentioned that, when Greg said to you that you had to write a book and you're like, oh, I'm not a writer. And here it is. You're a publisher. Did you ever say, oh, I'm not a publisher?
I never did say that one, but yeah, the not a writer. What's been fascinating about that is if you go read my book, The Year of Fears, please give me some slack. I wrote that myself, and I am truly not a writer. Somebody was like, "This is like a fifth grader wrote it," and I'm like, that was my writing style then. But Lynette, it's been 8 years now, and I
Right.
have become a writer. I have become like I get better and better and better. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Rowling, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be. I'm not comparing myself to her,
Right.
but I
Right.
do have a writing style, and it's
Mm-hmm.
Lynda's writing style. So
Mm-hmm.
I am a writer.
Yeah. I mean, but the great thing is that now you also teach others how to write
Yes.
their story and publish their books. So, why was it so important for you to share this gift with others?
Oh gosh, thank you for that question. That is so good. As I've been on my journey and as I look back in my life, like I was always a trainer. So out of those
Mm-hmm.
all of those 49 jobs that I had, I was always the trainer.
Mm-hmm.
For all new employees, I trained them on the computer systems. And so
Mm-hmm.
that training aspect of me, it's just in me. I'm good at it. I know
Mm-hmm.
that because I've been told that, probably thousands of times because so many
Mm-hmm.
people I've trained. But when it got to the publishing, I was like, okay, we're just going to do publishing, nothing else. We're not going to do anything else. And then one day I was sitting back and I was like, man, I really miss teaching people. I really miss that. And so let's see, is there a way that we can incorporate that into our business? And so
Mm-hmm.
we did. We started, like, we have a course where we teach people how to write, publish, market, and monetize their book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to incorporate that. And then, today we had a training session where we got to talk to them about making an impact with their story, making an impact with their book. This is part of my core of who I am, teaching. And so I have to make sure that I incorporate it into my business in one way, shape, or form, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
doing a training session on an app, like I'm on Clubhouse a lot, or in Facebook, or just something. I got to train because it's deep, deep part of my core.
Wow, that's really powerful. And so that sort of aligns with your mission to empower 5 million people to share their stories and, with the world and to encourage them to, put pen to paper or mouth to recorder and record their book and then have it transcribed. And so accomplishing this goal, this mission, what would that mean to you?
Well, honestly, I don't know that it will happen while I'm alive because 5 million is a pretty darn
Yeah,
big number.
I I get that.
It can, but the odds are against. Okay. So with that said, how did I come to 5 million? Is originally it was going to be 50,000 because I was like 50,000, I
Mm-hmm.
can do that in my lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
and I've looked at it that way. And I said, oh yeah, Grant Cardone, he always says we got to
10 times.
10X it. So I said 5 million. And I was like, wait a minute, that's 100X. Okay, we're going for 5 million. Like, why would I back down to 500,000? And then Lynette, this is something that was so cool is that I've been in business for 8 years now. And I never once thought about leaving a legacy. But when I said
Mm-hmm.
that number 5 million, I said, I am creating a legacy. This will live on when I am
Mm-hmm.
gone. Action Takers Publishing will still be here and they will be
Mm-hmm.
publishing books. And I am creating something beyond when I'm here. So it feels like for me, every time we publish somebody, we do collaboration books. You're in many of them. And when we publish these collaboration books, it just gets us closer to that number. And I get super excited about it. It fuels me to keep moving forward. So that's how it feels.
Wow, amazing. So before we provide details on how our listeners can contact you, are there any other areas in your life that you feel breaking through a fear has helped you?
Oh, yeah. We could talk about a personal one if you want to go there.
Do
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah. Okay. So, because we're talking about foundation here, and I'll make this really brief because foundation, building a strong foundation. You think about a building, right? They have the foundation, and then
Right.
everything gets built on top
Mm-hmm.
of it. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's a rocky, if it's built on sand or it's
Mm-hmm.
built on rocks, it's going to be rocky.
Mm-hmm.
And so, really building that really strong foundation in my personal life. Now, remember, I grew up in a very judgmental environment.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of abuse. I was a people pleaser. I did everything that everybody told me to do because I wanted
Mm-hmm.
everybody to like me.
Mm-hmm.
And so this carried over until 51 years old. I work with a life coach. She helps me kind of break through that and to like minimize, if nothing else, at the beginning, minimize my people pleaser mentality, which now is gone, by the way. And so my sisters, a couple years, oh, what happened? Are we there? Okay. My sisters, a couple years ago, reached out to me and said they were concerned about me. They thought I was in a cult. And yeah. And here's why, because I was becoming a positive person who was
Mm-hmm.
not judgmental. I was
Mm-hmm.
not the same person they knew all those decades. So because I was
Right.
Right.
shifting and
Mm-hmm.
changing and they weren't, they thought I was in a cult. So here's what I said to them. We're at a public restaurant and I just looked at them and I was listening with an open mind
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I decided I was going to do. And I was listening to them and I said, thank you for your concern. I appreciate that. And I said, if the environment that I'm in of positive, uplifting people is a cult, I'm in all the way because I want to be around
Absolutely.
positive, uplifting people like you, Lynette.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to remove you from my Facebook. If you call me, email me, text me, anything, I am not going to respond because what I need to do is
Wow.
I need to remove myself from this
Mm-hmm.
environment that you guys are, and
Mm-hmm.
I need to build a strong foundation so that no matter
Exactly.
what you say, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot knock me off of it. That was that strong foundation that I needed to build. And I want to share just quickly. That was right after Christmas one year. And then about a year later, before Thanksgiving, the following year, I reached out to them. I said, my foundation is built. If you would like me to be there for Thanksgiving, I will show up. And it was cool. They said, yeah, come on over. And I was looking for it. I was looking for all that negativity, and it
Mhm.
didn't happen that day. It did not happen that day.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. This was powerful, Lynda, and I really appreciate you being here with us today. And I'm pretty sure that there are so many listeners in our audience that, one, have a story inside of them, or, want to do some great things to have an impact in this world. And so how can they reach you? Either by website, email, or phone?
Yeah,
Let us
definitely.
know.
actiontakerspublishing.com. I just send everybody over there. We got some freebies over there. We got all kinds of good stuff going on. If you want to connect with me and you want to hop on a call with me, there's a link over there to hop on the call. Just go to actiontakerspublishing.com. We do all have many, 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 many stories inside of us. Sometimes the challenge is picking the ones that we want to share, but those stories will make an impact on other people's lives. I have seen it time and time again with our authors that when they share their story, not only is their own life impacted, but the life of others as well. So go out there and share your story.
All right, well, great. Thank you, Lynda, for being a guest on the Fabulous Lifestyles Radio Talk Show. This has really been eye-opening, and I thought I knew you, but now I know you even more. And so I'm very happy with your success. And everyone, I just want to let you know, Lynda has broken down writing, publishing, and launching your book to a science. You need to reach out and speak to Lynda. Thank you. And we are going to take a break for our next commercial, and we'll be back soon. Thank you.
Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Connect, and Building Solid Foundation.